Yes, guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan, and today we're going to be talking about why you keep craving junk food even though you have it in moderation. So, you keep telling yourself that you can eat it in moderation. A cookie here, a slice of pizza there, a little chocolate bar or a little candy bar after dinner. But every single time you do this, you reignite the craving cycle. And if you've ever wondered to yourself why you can't stop after just one bite, right? It's typically one little chip turns into the entire bag of chips. One small little cookie from the cookie jar turns into the entire cookie jar, basically, right? And if you've ever wondered why you kind of keep on doing that, this video will explain the brutal truth and how to actually break it once and for all. So before we get into it, I have helped hundreds of busy men drop 30 all the way up to 50 pounds, all without sacrificing their favorite foods or spending hours in the gym. And the reason they finally stop craving junk food isn't because they have more discipline than you, they don't have more willpower than you, they don't have more oomph than you. They are regular people, they have family, kids, they're working a regular job, right? It's because they have reprogrammed their brain. Because when I first got into fitness, I thought that people who were in shape just had something that I didn't, right? Whether it was, yeah, like I said, they had more discipline than me, they had more willpower than me, they had better genetics than me. They just had something that I lacked, but that could not be further from the truth, especially after having gone through my own transformation where I used to be a chubby kid. I used to be that kid who would just binge and binge and binge on cookies, ice cream, donuts, fries. I was a very overweight kid, and I thought that that was my destiny. I thought I was just always going to be the bigger person in the family, the fat kid. I got made fun of a lot, and I just thought this is just who I am, because there were times when I kind of felt a bit hopeless, where I was like, food just tastes so good. How is achieving six-pack abs even attainable when food exists? Not only food, but like specifically those hyper palatable processed foods, the cookies, the chips, the donuts, the fries. Like, how can one exist in a world where these foods exist as well, while still having six-pack abs, or while still being healthy, or while still having the fitness goals that you want to have? And I thought that was just like, how is it possible, right? But it is possible because I've gone through it myself. I've helped family members do it. I've helped my dad do it. I've helped hundreds of people do this, all from across the world, not just in person, but online as well through our online coaching program, right? And so, like I said, if you've ever wondered why you can't stop eating after just one bite, this video will explain to you the brutal truth and how to actually, once and for all, break free. So by the end of this video, you also understand why moderation doesn't work with processed food, unfortunately, what it's doing to your dopamine system, right, inside of your brain, and how to reset your cravings in just as little as 2 to 3 weeks. So after this video, I'm going to have you guys do some homework. So hopefully you guys can start implementing this, because if you're watching this right now and you notice that you're suffering through this exact thing that I just explained, this is going to be your video. So we'll cover 3 specific things: why moderation keeps you stuck, why junk food actually, or what junk food actually does to your brain, and how all of my clients and I myself personally eliminate food cravings for good. So let's start with point number 1, why moderation keeps you stuck. So most people think moderation is the key to balance, but moderation, especially with ultra processed food, is almost just like trying to have one puff of a cigarette and then just telling yourself that you'll stop. Or maybe a different example would be just having one little slice of pizza and then just stopping, or having just one small little cookie and then stopping. It's almost like you're telling your body how good life could be if you keep on eating, but then you just stop and you make yourself stop. You have to force yourself to stop. But it's very, very difficult, especially if you've already consumed it or done the thing. And so you're actually far better off not even consuming the thing, eating the thing, putting the thing into your mouth in the first place, right? Because now you're like literally like, you're tempting yourself a lot more. You start to like salivate a bit more. I'm not sure if you guys have ever experienced this before, but as soon as you're about to eat a food, your mouth will literally start to water, because it's like anticipating the food going into your mouth. But had you had not had the food in front of you, and had you not had anticipated to eat right away, your mouth will not be salivating because food isn't in front of you. But as soon as you have that one bite, or as soon as you just like put it into your body, you're like, oh my goodness, this is so good. Now I actually want more. And you actually realize that if you did not have that to begin with, you were actually chilling. You're like, you were quite fine. Like you were living life. You were like just doing your thing, not even thinking about food. But as soon as you tempt yourself with that one small little bite, it just turns into like, okay, now I want even more. And by forcing yourself to stop because you told yourself that you'll have it in moderation, guess what? You're going to be food focused the entire day. For the rest of the day, you're going to be thinking about, oh, I really want that another slice of pizza, or oh, I really want that another cookie, or oh, I should have just had a bit more. Because now you're just constantly thinking about it. Whereas me over here, I didn't even have it to begin with, so I can still live life, I can be productive, and I can stay focused on my goals without having this stupid temptation or without tempting myself. Or similar analogy would be going to the movies and then leaving halfway through. It's like, dude, like you're about to miss the best parts. Like why? Like continue on watching the movie. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't even tempt yourself in the first place. And now when I used to prep for bodybuilding shows, so when I did my first ever bodybuilding show, this was back in 2021, I'd reward myself post show with just a small dessert, right? But that small dessert turned into I kid you not, it's like a 4,000 calorie just binged later on that evening, right? Because once that taste hit my tongue, it flipped the switch. And suddenly I wasn't craving food. I was just craving the dopamine. I was craving the way it made me feel. Because you got to keep in mind, all these foods that are extremely hyper palatable, processed junk food, they are engineered. They are created to make you want even more. There's food scientists that think about this long and hard. They do study after study. They experiment. They sit in their labs all day trying to figure out how can we make this food as addicting as possible? Because at the end of the day, it is a business, right? All these food companies, Kellogg's, Lay's, Pepsi, like all these big food companies, they're just like any other business. They want to make money. They want to have returning customers. They want recurring revenue. And how do they do that? Well, we should probably make the food as tasty, as delicious as possible so we can have return customers. Because if the food sucks, if it's not as tasty, people aren't going to want to come back anymore, right? Just like your Netflix subscription. The reason why you have your Netflix subscription is because it's good. You like it. You enjoy the shows. They add variety. They add new things every single month. And it kind of keeps you hooked, right? Just like the food companies keep you hooked by making the food super, super tasty to make you want to eat even more of it. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that it's not healthy and it's bad for you and it's keeping you fat. And it's probably keeping you broke too, because not only are you spending the money on the food, you're also now probably, because you're eating all the junk food, right? Number one, you're spending money on the junk food. That's the first thing. But then because of that, as a result, like the way the food makes you feel, like you're probably not as energized. Your libido probably sucks. Your performance at work probably sucks. You're probably not as present with your family or with your relationships, or not maybe able to keep up with your kids anymore. And like, you can ask yourself that question, like, what is the cost of that? It's probably super, super expensive, right? So studies have actually shown from the Yale University, they found that highly processed foods activate the same brain regions as drugs like cocaine and heroin. I'm going to say that one more time. Studies from Yale University found that highly processed foods, the foods that anyone has access to, including your kids, including your children, 5-year-olds can just walk into a store and buy these foods, but they activate the same regions as drugs like cocaine and heroin. So I'm not saying this is true, but if you are feeding your kids these processed foods, it's almost like you're feeding them cocaine and heroin. Now, I know that is very extreme of me to say, but given this study, it's almost like, yeah, the two things kind of do the same thing within your brain. And if you say it like that, it's like, would you feed your kids cocaine? Would you feed your kids heroin? Would you feed yourself cocaine and heroin? I mean, I wouldn't, like, at all, right? And so particularly the nucleus accumbens, which this is the brain's pleasure and reward center. So when you eat even just a small amount of hyperpalatable food, you're not feeding hunger, you're stimulating addiction, right? Like How many people here are addicted to eating junk food? Probably all you guys watching right now, because it's good, it's tasty, and it's not your fault either, because that food is literally designed to make you want to overeat and be addicted to it, right? And so one of my clients, Jeff, he came to me saying, I don't eat bad. I just eat a cookie or two every night or something. He just said, I just have junk food in moderation, basically. And now he couldn't figure out why his fat loss had stalled despite that, because he got told that everything in moderation is fine, right? You can have a cookie here and there. You can have a slice of pizza here and there. And by all means, like at the end of the day, I'm not here to argue against the rules of thermodynamics, right? Because ultimately it does come down to calories in versus calories out. If you eat less calories than you burn on a daily basis, you will lose weight 100%. But I would rather lose weight without torturing myself than losing weight and torturing myself every single day, feeling restricted, being food focused, and just having all these like weird cravings all day, right? And so what we did with our client Jeff is we actually cut out all processed sugar, just cold turkey, for 21 days, just 2 to 3 weeks. And on week 3, he sent me this text message, and I have it written down here. And he said, Coach, I literally don't even want the cookie anymore. His cravings disappeared, vanished. Nada, nothing, no more cravings. His cravings disappeared, his sleep improved, his energy skyrocketed. And because once you stop giving your brain that micro dose of dopamine, it just stops expecting it, right? Like I live downtown, and every single evening I walk, I go on my floss walk, get in my steps, I'll floss my teeth. It's just one of the things I do. But I walk across restaurants and pubs and just stores, junk food stores, restaurants all the time. And I smell the smells, I see the food, I see people eating right in front of me, and I'm deep into bodybuilding prep. And this is typically when most people are like super food focused and they start fantasizing about food. They go on their TikTok and they see all these food videos. They literally watch other people eat food and they get satisfaction from that. I believe it's something like mukbang, where you just literally watch people eat, which sounds a bit weird. And they get excited from that. It's almost like watching porn in a way. It's like you're watching other people do the thing and you get excitement out of that. It's really, really messed up. But this is the prep, the first kind of bodybuilding prep that I've done where I'm like zero food focused. I'm not food focused. I'm not phased. I'm not tempted by seeing all this food around me. I'm not fantasizing about food because I don't tempt myself with it. I don't have it stored in my kitchen. I don't have it stored in my fridge. I don't see it every single day, or I don't eat it every single day at the very least. Sure, I see it sometimes when I'm on whatever social media or walking across the street, but it's not like I fantasize about it, right? And so that's exactly what happened with our client Jeff. He just completely cold turkey stopped eating it, and guess what? His cravings vanished because he wasn't like giving his brain like those small little like mini dosages, like just cold turkey. He just completely stopped, and guess what? His cravings stopped too, right? And so that'll lead me on to point number 2, which is what junk food actually does to your brain. So here is the complete truth. These foods are engineered to make you addicted. Like I said earlier on, companies literally designed them with food scientists, which they call the bliss point, which basically the bliss point is like this perfect combination of sugar to salt ratio to fat ratio that maximizes pleasure and minimizes satiety. Here's the thing, like this is like what a lot of people don't realize. It maximizes pleasure, right? You get the most pleasure, but you get the least amount of satiety. And now what that means is that you never actually full from eating it. After, like I said, like after eating one piece of pizza, it doesn't really satisfy you, does it? Like if you were to compare, let's make a comparison right now. Let's compare a chicken breast, right? Just plain chicken breast, maybe add some salt, pepper, whatever, compared to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Which one is going to be tastier? The KFC. Which one is going to make you want even more chicken? The KFC. But which one is going to leave you a bit more satisfied? The chicken. And which one are you going to want to eat a bit less of? The chicken, right? And so with the whole chicken, what you'll notice is that because it's not as tasty, it doesn't make you want to overeat it. But because of that, it helps you hit your macros, it helps you hit your protein goal, and you can just carry on with the rest of your day without having any temptation to want to eat even more because you're nice and satisfied, you hit your protein feeding, and then boom, you just carry on working. You carry on being present. You carry on playing with your children. You carry on doing whatever. Whereas after you're eating one small little chicken drumstick from KFC, it doesn't really satisfy you, and you just want to eat even more of it, right? So that is like a prime example of minimally or non-processed food versus processed food, and how it can literally affect how much you eat throughout the day, and which is why 70% of Americans are obese and overweight, and why we are fighting this whole just epidemic of just fat people. And that is because of these food companies, these fast food companies. A 2018 study showed that people eating ultra-processed foods consumed 500 extra calories per day compared to those eating whole foods, even when macros were matched. And now you're probably wondering, okay, well, how? Why is that the case? Well, because the dopamine response from processed foods hijacks your appetite regulation system. So you're not eating for energy anymore. You're eating for stimulation. Like when you eat, like most people nowadays, and this is really, really unfortunate, because back in the olden days, right, back when we were like hunter and gatherers, like we were eating based on like performance, based on fuel, right? Because if we didn't eat, we couldn't hunt. When we couldn't hunt, we die, basically, right? And so we would literally eat so we could survive and thrive as human beings. Whereas now, because we have so much food around us, like food isn't really a luxury anymore. It's just something that's there, and it's just like a nice little dopamine hit. So we don't even, like most of you watching right now, you don't even eat because you're hungry. You eat because you're either bored, or because you just like the taste, or you just want a bit more dopamine, or maybe you're a bit stressed. Like you don't even eat for performance or for results anymore. You don't look at a banana and say like, oh, I need this banana in order for me to keep on crushing work. Like not like at all, right? You look at a candy bar, wherever, you're like, oh my goodness, this looks pretty good. I like to have this. Do I need it? No, but it's nice. It's tasty. It spikes my dopamine, makes me feel good. That's why you eat most of the time, right? And that's just, this is the society we live in nowadays, right? So you're not eating for energy anymore. You're eating for stimulation. It's dopamine withdrawal disguised as hunger, basically. And when you try to eat in moderation, you're basically drip feeding that addiction instead of breaking it. So that'll move me on to the last point, how to actually reset your cravings. Hopefully you guys understand now how severe this can be and why this is keeping you fat, having this junk food in moderation. So basically for me, like when I quit junk food completely for 30 days, my entire palate, aka taste buds, completely changed. And here's what I started to notice. And this used to like not be me at all, but fruits started to taste sweet again. You know, like nature's candy, like fruits provided by God and nature, the stuff that we were supposed to eat over the artificial stuff. Yeah, that stuff actually starts to taste good again. Steak tasted rich. Even broccoli, sounds crazy. Even broccoli tasted amazing to me. And I'm probably wondering why. Like how? Conan, are you a weirdo? Are you a psychopath? No, I'm actually normal. You are the psychopath, because taste buds regenerate actually quite quickly, every 10 to 14 days, based on a Harvard Health study back in 2014. So if you can go through the initial sucking phase of just eating whole foods for at the very least 2 weeks, it may suck the first week. Second week, maybe slightly better. Third week, your taste buds, your palate will be completely just like fixed. Because once you stop overstimulating them with artificial sweetness and flavor enhancers, real food, the food that we were meant to eat, starts to taste good again. And that is why all my clients inside the Barbarian squad go through a 2 to 3 week taste reset phase. They remove all the hyper-processed foods, including the chips, the sauces, the artificial sweeteners, and they replace them with single ingredient whole foods. And usually by week 3 or by week 4, they're not fighting cravings anymore. They're free from them. So, for example, I have this client here, Brennan, who used to eat out 4 to 5 times a week. And within 3 weeks of eating clean, his cravings completely disappeared. His energy actually doubled. And this is actually quite funny, but he told me that his libido returned as well. And as a result, he lost 18 pounds in 6 weeks, not because of a diet, but because he stopped fighting his biology. So here's the final kind of takeaway lesson that I want you to get from this. You are not weak. You are just wired. But the good news is that you can rewire yourself. If you stop eating like crap, guess what? You'll stop craving crap. Cut the junk for just 2 to 3 weeks, reset your brain, and you'll realize you never needed moderation. You just needed the clarity. So to wrap up this quick little video, if you want to follow the same reset plan my clients use to eliminate cravings, drop 30 to 50 pounds, and keep it off for good, what you can go ahead and do is schedule a free consultation call with me down below, where we'll essentially do 3 things. Number 1, we'll go over your current goals. We'll see exactly how much weight you're actually looking to lose, whether it's 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds. We have one client who's lost over 100 pounds using the Barbarian method. So no matter what your starting point is, it is never too late. Secondly, we'll go over your current struggles. So we'll see exactly what's holding you back right now, whether it's the lack of knowledge, the lack of structure, the lack of accountability, because I will tell you right now, like most of you watching right now, you know what to do. Simply move a bit more, eat a bit less. It's not rocket science, right? But there's a reason why you haven't done anything. And that's likely because you have zero accountability. You have no one there to hold you accountable, to tell you what to do, to tell you how to do it, right? And then lastly is we'll create a game plan together to help you absolutely crush them in the next 3 to 6 months. So if that sounds good to you, the link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there. Peace.